Mummy Joy's salon stood at the corner of a bustling street in the heart of town, a modest building adorned with vibrant posters of women flaunting flawless braids and weaves. The scent of hair products and the soft hum of chit-chat filled the air, making her salon a popular gathering spot for women. Inside, there was always a queue of customers, all eager to have their hair touched by the hands of Mummy Joy, the most sought-after hairstylist in the entire state. For years, her hands had worked wonders on all kinds of hair. Kinky, curly, thick, or thin, it didn't matter. As soon as her fingers touched a head, the magic began. Her fingers moved with the precision of a sculptor, twisting, parting, and shaping hair into intricate patterns that seemed to defy the limits of what could be done. Her reputation spread like wildfire. Women came from all corners of the city, even from neighboring towns, to sit in her chair. And no one ever left dissatisfied. Her work was that of an artist, bringing beauty out of even the most unruly strands. It wasn't just hairstyling, it was transformation, the kind that left people looking in the mirror with awe, barely recognizing themselves. But Mummy Joy's success didn't come purely from her skill. Hidden from her loyal customers, there was a dark secret woven into the foundation of her flourishing business. Every time she combed through someone's hair, detangling and smoothing, she would quietly collect the shed strands. With a deft, practiced motion, she'd sweep them aside without her client noticing, carefully tucking them away. At the end of each day, when her shop was finally quiet and the last client had left, she would sweep the floor meticulously. The stray hairs that had fallen during the day's work, each strand, were precious to her. To the clients, it was a waste, mere leftovers from a day's grooming. But to Mummy Joy, this hair was invaluable. Once home, she followed a ritual, one she had been taught many years ago by a mysterious herbalist. The herbalist had shown her a way to channel the energy of the hair she collected into something far greater. Each night, she would take the collected strands and place them into a pot of water. This wasn't ordinary water, it had been prepared with a secret blend of herbs and magic, a recipe passed down for generations. As the hair boiled, the steam rising from the pot filled her small kitchen with an eerie scent, one that lingered long after the water had cooled. This wasn't just about the hair itself, it was a spiritual process, one that infused her entire being. After boiling the hair, Mummy Joy would use the water to cook her food. The herbalist had been very clear, the power was in consuming this magic-laden water. Each bite of her evening meal would make her stronger, not in body, but in spirit. The ritual was key to her success. The more she performed it, the more her clients would return, bringing others along with them. It wasn't just that they liked her work. They felt drawn to her, as if something intangible was pulling them in. Her hands, now energized by the spiritual force of the ritual, seemed to move with even more grace and speed, creating styles that were more stunning with every passing week. And with every satisfied client, her reputation grew. But Mummy Joy knew it wasn't just skill, it was the dark magic working behind the scenes, fueling her rise to the top. At first, Mummy Joy had been hesitant. It was disgusting, boiling someone's shed hair and then using that same water to cook her food. But when she saw how her business began to grow, how women from far and wide came to her shop, willing to wait hours just to have her touch their hair, she became addicted to the ritual. She performed it religiously every night, never skipping a single day. Her success became the envy of every other stylist in town. But what they didn't know wouldn't hurt them, she often told herself. The years went by, and Mummy Joy's business continued to boom. Her name became a household legend, with mothers bringing their daughters to her, young women flocking to her shop before big events, and even older women seeking her touch to relive their youthful glory. Everything seemed perfect. Until one fateful day. Funmi, a regular customer, walked into Mummy Joy's shop. She was a beautiful woman in her early 30s, with thick, natural hair that cascaded down her back. She smiled warmly at Mummy Joy as she took her seat in the chair. "Mummy Joy, I need your magic today," Funmi said with a playful grin. "I'm going to a wedding, and I need to be the center of attention." Mummy Joy chuckled. "You know I always deliver, Funmi. By the time I'm done, they'll be asking if you're the bride." They laughed together as Mummy Joy began her work, her fingers moving swiftly through Funmi's hair. She braided with precision, pulling the strands tight and locking them in perfect rows. Funmi relaxed into the chair, trusting Mummy Joy completely. When she was finished, Funmi looked in the mirror and gasped. "Ah! Mummy Joy, you've done it again." She turned her head from side to side, admiring her hair. "It's beautiful." Mummy Joy smiled and stepped back, pleased with her work. But as Funmi stood up, something unexpected happened. Funmi began to pick up the small hairs that had fallen to the floor during the styling. Mummy Joy's heart skipped a beat. "Ah, Funmi, no need to worry about that," Mummy Joy said, trying to sound calm. "I'll sweep it up for you." Funmi shook her head. "No, Mummy Joy. I've read somewhere that it's bad luck to leave your hair behind. I always like to keep it, just in case." "No, no, no," Mummy Joy said, her voice rising with a hint of panic. She reached out to stop Funmi, but Funmi had already begun collecting the hairs from the floor. Funmi turned to her with a frown. "Mummy Joy, what's wrong?" "It's just my hair. I'll take care of it." Mummy Joy's hands trembled. "Please, Funmi, leave it. You must leave it." But Funmi was undeterred. She gathered the strands from the floor, even reaching for the one still stuck in the comb Mummy Joy had used. She placed the hair into her bag, oblivious to the growing fear in Mummy Joy's eyes. Mummy Joy could barely contain her terror. She tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come out. She watched helplessly as Funmi gathered all the hair and walked out of the shop with a casual wave. "Thank you, Mummy Joy. I'll see you again soon." As soon as Funmi left, Mummy Joy collapsed into a chair, her body shaking. She frantically grabbed her phone and dialed her herbalist's number. "Hello," came the voice on the other end. "Barber! Barber, something terrible has happened," Mummy Joy cried into the phone. "A customer took her hair. She took it, Barber. What do I do?" There was a pause on the line, and Mummy Joy could hear her herbalist's deep sigh. "I warned you, didn't I?" he said in a grave tone. "I told you no customer must take their hair from your shop." "I know. I know." Mummy Joy sobbed. "But is there nothing we can do? Please, Barber, help me." But the herbalist's voice was cold. "There is no remedy, Mummy Joy. The consequences will come, and there's nothing I can do to stop them. Please?" The call ended abruptly, leaving Mummy Joy in stunned silence. She stared at her phone, tears streaming down her face. She had played with forces beyond her control, and now the time had come to pay the price. That night, as Mummy Joy lay in bed, she began to feel a strange sensation in her hands. It started as a dull ache, but soon her fingers began to swell, growing larger and larger until they were unrecognizable. She screamed in terror, clutching her hands as the swelling worsened. She rushed to the hospital the next morning, but the doctors were baffled. They ran test after test, but no one could explain what was happening to her. Weeks went by, and the swelling only grew worse. Her hands became useless, swollen to the point where she could no longer hold a comb, let alone style hair. Then, the maggots came. They crawled out from beneath her skin, writhing and squirming as they ate away at her flesh. The sight of them sent Mummy Joy into hysterics, but no amount of screaming or crying could stop the horror that was unfolding. Months passed, and Mummy Joy's condition deteriorated. Her once glorious hands, the hands that had brought her so much success, were now a source of endless pain and suffering. She could no longer bear the agony, and eventually, her body gave out. Mummy Joy died alone, her once booming salon now abandoned. The women who had once flocked to her for her magic had long since forgotten her name, and the story of the hairstylist who had played with dark forces became nothing more than a cautionary tale whispered among the people. I hope you learned something from this story. Please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button. Be a part of my growth. Turn on the notification so that when I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your consistent support.